Hi everyone, welcome to the Idaho Authors Showcase. My name is Janet Ravenscraft and I will be your host today. This show will be about authors and their stories. We'll find out about why they write and why this book. And then how they write. Do they use a computer, a laptop? Are they longhand? Are they recording? When they write. Are they writing daily? Do they set a time? Maybe it's the middle of the night. And what they write. Is it fiction or nonfiction? Do they like romance or sci-fi? Motivational or is it scary? Thank you all for joining us today. Now get a cup of something, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hi everyone, welcome to the Idaho Author Showcase. My name's Janet Ravenscraft and I'm your host for today. Thank you so much for joining us. And my author today is Katherine Allen, and she has written Emily's Room. Welcome to the show, Katherine.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you're here. So tell me a little bit about Emily's Room, how that came about, why you wrote this book.
Emily's Room was just a gift that came to me through this character named Emily, and she's about a 6-year-old child who gets her own room after her sister is moving out of the house.
Oh.
Like most of us have that experience. And she gets to decorate any way she wants.
Okay.
And she's an unusual child. She's really wired in differently than most of us because she follows her cues of what makes her happy.
Oh.
So her eyes sparkle and her fiery strands of red hair lift up every time she identifies what she loves.
Oh, okay.
And so her mother just knows that this is the way that she could decorate her room, and it highlights how I help people in their room as an interior designer, holistic interior designer, and feng shui person.
So you basically wrote this to go along with your business, your entrepreneur
Yeah, it
business.
ties in so beautifully with what I had been learning and doing for over 20 years. And even though I thought I would write a book that was much more complex and much more detailed, Emily is the character that came through me
Okay.
to tell the story.
And so the illustrations, did you do the book design? What was your process like that?
The process is that the character came first.
Okay.
Came to me in a dream
Oh, all right.
in the middle of the night,
Uh-huh.
and it would make me wake up every morning really early, like 5 o'clock, and write it out.
Oh,
And I
okay.
had so much fun with this little character just getting inside my own mind and telling me how to do it and how to direct it. And so I had all this stored knowledge of how I wanted to share with others about how important environment is and how we need to do it in a new way instead of how it looks, but how it feels and how you respond to it. And she just started telling me, this is the way to tell people. This
There
is
you
the
go.
way to tell people. Tell them my story. And at the end, she said, I want to help other people do it too. So we designed a design toolkit in the back that has 7 steps to help people with their space, how to get started in a holistic and energetic way.
Oh, so this is like a workbook almost then, and a step-by-step for the people that want to learn something about it, but then it's also obviously a children's book too.
It's a children's book for all ages.
Oh, there you go.
It really is, because it highlights, like I said, her story and her account, and it just shows us how we can do this very easily. If you watch, how Emily does it, then you'll get inspired to want to get your room done. And almost everybody that reads the book wants to start decorating immediately.
It makes them think about that.
It makes them think about it in a way that's not in your face so much and not so detailed and not so clinical, but just, fun, a fun read about a little girl who...
And then makes you think about your own space.
Makes you think about who you are and what would make your space a supportive space, a creative space that allows you to raise your vibration up to the point where your gifts come out, just like it did for Emily.
There you go. So did you write... Did you longhand this? Did you put it on computer? You said you wrote every day.
Sometimes, when you get up in the middle of the night and you have an inspiration, you have to have, a notebook and a pen and a little light next to your bed. That's a big suggestion that people forget, that we need to have these points of inspiration documented.
Document it.
So always have a little notebook with you. It could happen anywhere at any
could.
time, and you want to be able to write that out. And then I got on the computer and did it.
And then did that part.
Yeah.
So did you write every day? How long did the actual process take for you to complete this book?
The story of Emily came to me in about a month.
Oh, okay.
She revealed how to do it. I took her cues. It really is an inner inspiration experience where a character inhabits you, and I think that happens to a lot of
writers.
authors and writers. Yes.
On that side of it.
And,
So then did you self-publish? Did you...
then
How did you do that?
Well,
What did you do
because
then?
it was my first book, and I had not a clue how to even write a children's story, let alone how to illustrate it. But I have a very creative artist child, and even at 8 years old, she was doing some of the illustration for the book and telling the story visually. And later, as it came closer to time to find someone to illustrate it and to really put it into color, I found another wonderful artist here in town, in Boise, that we have a treasure trove of really creative people. And her name is Stephanie Milani.
She
From
is
True
amazing.
Publishing.
From True and so True Publishing is your publisher on that
yes.
side.
So they were able to illustrate and help me, publish it.
That's great. I like that part of it, and I like that you used locally. You were able to find someone locally to like you said. There's a lots of talented people here in Boise, and so it's nice to be able to share that and involve that and use the talent that's here.
And that's a big plus, I think, because you get to, work with them. Where I had some people interested in it, but they were in Canada and California. And so the process, you would actually be handing your book over and you're not going to look at it again until it was finished.
Oh, see,
so this is so much better.
Well, and like you said, and it was a pretty special project. So how have you been able to use this in your business now? Is that a tool for you? Is it something that has helped your business move on? Or
Well, any time that we write out and validate that we know something as a business owner, we become an expert in it.
That's true.
And so that expertise in a book form is invaluable. And people really take you much more seriously. You also get to document, how you go through your own steps with your clients. In addition, this won many awards.
Oh, seriously? So through the because is it considered a children's book, or is it considered what grouping is it in?
In the genre, it probably is more of a children's book, but it was in the category of nonfiction with the top Idaho Authors Award, and it got top 3 out of the top 10.
That's excellent then. And so what year was this written in?
This was last year. Even though it took several years for me to write it, it was published last year.
I was just going to say, so with that process of the idea and working through it and putting it down and then deciding finally, I think that's with a lot of authors that happens, that you can start something, but it's like, okay, when am I going to publish it, or it's not quite ready, or I don't have time or money or energy or whatever it comes.
And especially if you're not a traditional writer, that's not your first calling, and you get this urge to write a book, like many of us are doing, that we have to go through a process of, what are we going to use this for? Who's going to read it?
Right.
Do I know what I'm doing? Do I have the help for it?
Well, that vulnerability that most writers and authors, I think it seeps in just because, and this is, this becomes your project and your baby basically, because it's, even though Emily has to have parts of either your daughter or you in there, that as she's talking, there's still pieces and parts of you, so it's that first review, so it has to be very rewarding for you to have had the recognition and to be in that top 10 or the third in the top 10.
Oh, so. It was like a dream come true, because as a child I wanted to be a writer.
Oh, I was going to say, so did you, that's something you always want to do, and this is your first, do you journal? Do you have other stories?
I always have journaled.
Okay.
I was thinking about this, and I thought, I'm not a writer per se, but I'm a communicator.
Yeah.
And whether I communicate through visual as an interior designer, whether I do it through this book, whether I do artwork, I'm always communicating
in some way.
something. Yes.
And that's it. So do you have other books in you? Do you have anything else you want to write, or?
I am putting together the bigger book of how to really do your space.
Okay.
And not how to not only do your space, because I think your environment is important, but environment comes from within you first. That's the inner environment. And so my thrust or my interest has always been the environment on two levels. Okay. And I've been writing about this, and I've been helping people create that environment. And so I do a lot of lifestyle coaching along with how do you create harmony in your space? How do you create harmony in your life? So I have been accumulating lots of articles, and I'm going to weave them together, and I'm writing a book about that.
So you've been doing research, and you've actually been working on that process for a while. So how many years have you been in the interior design?
About 20 years.
I was going to say
20 years.
So you have 20 years of experience of nothing else.
Yes, and that's what was so beautiful, I think, about Emily's book is that it would take a big book to write down 20 years of experience, whereas this book, it can come very simple and easily, and
well, and this is
with
fun. Yeah, like you said, it's fun, and it's for all ages. Once you with that portion of having the workbook in the back of it, and so if a parent buys it for their child, then they're going to go, oh well, wait, this has got some great ideas in it.
It's the same steps for anybody to look at your space and to start creating an environment that really unlocks your potential.
On that side of it.
Yeah.
And you were talking about emotional spaces, and so let's take a break. We're going to
All
take a break, and we'll be back real soon. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Idaho Authors Showcase. And my guest today is Katherine Allen. And so we've been talking about her book, Emily's Room, and her process. And she has another book she's working on. Do you have a title for that book? Where are you at on that?
I have two books, and one is a sequence to this book about Emily, where she gets a little bit older.
Oh, okay.
She's starting to go through being a teenager, and she's starting to doubt a little bit her ability to tune in and be happy and follow what she loves.
Oh, okay.
She's also going to meet her best friend, and they're going to go on an adventure together in which they really discover life design. That designing is not just your room, but it's the environment within you and how you create that spirit of expansion and possibilities. And that's what he's going to teach her in the book.
Okay. Her new friend.
Her new friend, her new life friend.
What is that name of the next book on that?
I'm going to start with Emily Meets Henry.
Oh, Emily Meets Henry. And then you have a book after that. Then
and it'll be about, life design. How you create your own life. How do you create your vision for life? And how do you, again, follow what you love, those cues that she has.
I was going to say, so this is another book for all ages, even though it'll be it's the children book or the teen. I think it's, if you're heading into that middle school or that teenage, on that side of it. So it's more life lessons or that
lifestyle. How do you create the lifestyle, which is your inner environment?
Right.
And this has always been a dilemma for me.
Inner environment meaning
your mindset, the power of how you think, along with the power of the placement that you put yourself in.
Yeah. So
both of those work together. They really are the same.
Mindset is huge, and if you can relay that to children so they start thinking like that, and they start knowing that their thoughts create action, and that how to make yourself happy, basically. It's those are things that it's not taught in school. It's not something but we all need it.
Yes.
And positive mindset especially.
And the outer environment in Feng Shui, as a Feng Shui consultant, we know that your environment is the mirror of what you're thinking.
Yep. And so how they create their spaces is what's coming from that inner part. So.
It's the beautiful mirror of it. And you get to see where, exactly where you're at with your own mindset and your own belief system. And then you can also turn that around and play and change the outer environment to make a shift within you as well.
True.
So it's both ways. That's the second
series,
book of the series. Then
when are you going to have that? When is that due out?
That one is one of the things that my characters, I have to follow when their own timing.
Okay.
So even though I have put a deadline on myself to say by the end of this year that the book will be at least complete, if not ready for publishment, I'm going to let the course of it just take
that inspiration part.
That inspiration.
So you're still writing that story.
I'm still writing that story. It's still coming to me. And in the meanwhile, the other story, which is a series of articles that I put together of how I help people create a lifestyle within the home. Within the environment. That one is also going to be, by and large, done by the end of this year.
Okay. So that's basically your nonfiction book, because it's the business side of it, the feng shui, the designing your space, that type of thing, and your articles. You're pulling those all together.
I'm pulling them all together.
Do you have a name for that book yet? Or?
I don't have a name for that, but I think it's Harmony in the Home.
Oh, that's nice.
One of the process I'm doing now is I'm stringing up a great big wire, and I'm hanging all of the articles on it, so that I can manipulate where one article should go in front of the other.
So this is on like a storyboard, or
it's like a storyboard, but it's a visual one.
Okay.
And you can do it, of course, different ways, but it's...
Did you do the same thing with Emily's book?
No, because she was such a fast-paced relationship with this character that it just sort of came along in its own
Now you're working with that touchy teenager, so it's not so fast-paced, is that?
Yeah, well, that one, yeah.
The second one, I'm just thinking, and they get kind of touchy, and they get out of sorts. And
that's right, and it becomes kind of dark, where the color goes out a little bit, and you wonder about
That's when
things.
they paint their rooms black, and,
they
start wearing black. And
I mean, they really go through that exploration
and
of
we
what
all
life's
do.
about, and who are they, and what do they want to do?
And I think it's that age that all of us can go back to also. We can take ourselves back there very easily.
Well, anytime we are transitioning, we're back in that teenage journey and starting over. And it's such a beautiful time in our lives to get it together through transition.
To have that opportunity to re-go, the whole rebirth, the transitioning, when you can stop it. You don't always think it's a great thing when you're in the middle of it.
No, it can be very difficult.
It can be very difficult on that side.
Very difficult, but yet with a good friend, it's all possible.
And that's basically what
that's what
like.
Emily gets, is that heart friend.
Well, and that's a good story for kids to start remembering, is our friends are what get us through.
They're tickets. They're tickets.
Long-term tickets, so.
Thinking in new ways of learning how to how to really open your heart and share who you are with other people.
Okay. So on your storyboard, or your storyline, I'll call it, do you do that work on that daily? Is that a daily process for you? Are you still...
I'm still trying to figure out how do I get, a certain amount of time. And I'm more of a binge writer.
Are you? Okay.
Once I get involved in it, I'm involved in it.
All right. So you don't write like 1,000 words per day, or 2,000 or 3,000, or a chapter a day. You don't work on just one part. It's just whatever inspires you.
The one thing I do also, always do, is I journal. And so that keeps that going, that line of communication. And then I also on Mondays consider that my writing day.
Oh, okay, so Mondays are, well, and that's good to know. That's good to know for future writers or people that are writing themselves, that that everybody has a different process.
Yes.
And so you call yourself a binge writer, but then you journal every day. So you are
Yes.
writing every day of
So
some
you
sort.
keep that flow going. But now, once I get into it and I'm very serious about it, that Monday, and I get that inspiration, it will, it will take over my schedule
I've
for a
heard
short
that.
amount of time, 6 to 8 weeks, and then you're kind of like, whoa, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm more of a project.
I know
writer.
when I was writing, I wrote every day and I worked on a chapter every day. I didn't really think of it as so many words. I just thought of it as a chapter. And especially when I was in the rewrite process, I was writing and then I would read it and I'd scratch and go through it and then I'd rewrite and edit. And so, so that was, like you said, that was about an 8-week process of going through it. And then it was the first part. And then when I went back to the rewrites, it was that same thing. So I can see.
And you do need to kind of let it go at a certain time so they can percolate, so those ideas can get more cemented in you, and that you can kind of have an objectivity about it.
Yeah, some inspiration, and especially when you get, like, if you've been working on it for several days or several weeks, and it's like, okay, I need to step back.
Yes.
I can see that part
Yes.
of how that helps. So how are you advertising, and what do you... Are you using social media? How are you getting your book out there? And
It really takes a whole lot of effort to get your book out there. And you got to find what works for you. And because I do talk about my interior design and the type I do,
right,
then I enjoy going on doing lectures and selling this at the back of the room.
correct. And so that helps you because it gives you
Yes.
that validity, like you said. You're an expert, so in your presentations, and then you have something actually physically.
Yes, and then I also do it online. So I've been finding podcasts, people like yourself who are, looking and asking questions of artists and writers.
It's all like this opportunity here to share other authors' stories. That's what this show's all about. I like that we can sit down and talk, and I can hear somebody's stories. That's my favorite part, is asking the questions and hearing people, because everybody has a story. We just do it differently.
Yeah, and it's so fascinating.
It is.
And the creative process is what we need more of.
Right.
And just getting out and sharing that story that you won some awards, or you wrote a book, or that you're in the middle of writing something, just sharing it with another person is inspirational for them.
It is,
And then it energizes you. It really does energize me to talk about it. So then I also have a blog where I write the articles every week and put them out on my blog.
on that side
And
too.
then a little bit of Facebook messaging, a little fan page, and then finding places in your local area that
can do that.
that can do that
Okay.
together, that have some networking.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back soon. Thank you. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Idaho Authors Showcase, and my guest today is Katherine Allen, and we've been talking about her book Emily's Room, and then she also has some color cards we're going to talk about that she's created. So tell us about those.
So this is another little project that I often use with my clients to help them identify what's going on inside of them
Okay.
with that inner environment, and I do it through color. Color is really communication also. We select certain colors based on its vibration and its messages that we have. One of the big things we get wrapped up in our environment is our color palettes.
Uh-huh.
So our color palette is really a way that we select what we want in our environment, of what it's telling us, some kind of information. So the cool colors, which are blue and green and purple, have a certain response of relaxation, while the more brighter colors, the hotter colors, which are yellow, orange and red, give us more action-oriented movement. And so I often will have my clients select from these, and I place them down on the floor, and they just pick what is calling them, what is more brighter for them.
Right. Favorite colors.
It's not so much about their favorite color, it's what color is in the moment calling them.
Oh, right then.
So this is a much more intuitive way at looking at color, and then I can use that information, what's going on with the person within their environment. So
Okay.
obviously we would tone it down or make it brighter. These are just the basic colors. So this is a way, again, to go into somebody's inner environment
space.
and bring it out real fast so that we don't spend hours and hours doing a lot of talking about it. We can just pick a color. We can go into what that color means, what
Well,
that
and
color
people
is
are
speaking.
visual. If you're
And they're
visual,
visual.
yeah, they can pick it out that.
And so these are designed for daily use too, that you could have an intuitive color reading for yourself. And it has
Okay.
some information on the back of how to use that color during your day
Okay.
to make an impact in your life.
And I'm assuming these are available on your website also?
They are
along
also
with your
on
book?
my website, and you can find Emily's book on my website as well under the category Emily's World on www.harmoniouslivingnow.com.
There you go. So, and so as you were creating these, this just came as a byproduct of your business you're in, and the interior design portion of it. It just helps your clients. Is that more?
It really came about as a way to communicate what kind of environment is going on inside of them,
Okay.
and how to bring that out into the external.
All right.
And so color is one
One of
way
them.
that we use in
What are
interior
some other?
design.
What's another way?
Another way is a collage, a very fast collage.
Okay.
One that overrides the brain and all
Okay.
your thinking, because sometimes I've gone to people's houses and they have collected many pictures over
Oh.
many years of what they like, but it's not current, it's not in the now. It's
Right.
not where they're at. It's not going to create an environment that supports them where they're at right now. So I have them do 15 minutes where they tear out items from magazines
That they just
that they
speak to them right
that
then.
speak to them, and it could be about interior design, or it could be a food item, or it could be
vacation.
a vacation. And then we put that down on paper, at the end after 15 minutes, and visually I get to see what's going on in terms of the lines and the shapes and the colors that they're picking, of what kind of environment
that they're looking for.
that they're needing right now at this
At
time
that
of
time.
their life.
That's great. That's great information, and that's something informational. So let's we're going to wrap this up. I want you to be able to stop now and share with our audience what would be a suggestion, a tip for new authors out there that are wanting to write or are in that thing. What would be your suggestion? And then talk to your readers. Tell them what you want to hear.
I have 5 steps that I follow in any project, including writing. The first one is accept the invitation. If you feel the nudge, if you feel an inkling to do it, just do it. Second, energize it. Put a lot of energy around it. Tell other people, create a schedule around it, get some help. I went to a couple classes. Create some energy around it. And then the third thing is to awaken your potential. Know that you are more than what you think you are. And so awaken that desire within you to become a writer. And the fourth one is to unify the heart. And that means when you're doing a project and you're starting out and you don't have an identity built around this project, let it heal your own heart and awaken to the capacity that you have within it, and just be guided by the heart. And then the fifth one, most important one, is to have the courage to embrace and jump into a new venture.
Well, those are great. Those
So
are
those are
great
my
suggestions.
5 steps.
I really appreciate that, and I hope our audience has appreciated too. And so thank you so much for being on the
You're
show. I really
welcome.
appreciate it, and good luck with your future. And that's it. And I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I hope you have enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.